this lazy heart along shimmering tracks beside the sea, where distant islands float like thoughts barely waking in soft blue. Sunlight paints the window frame, gentle pattern sliding over my hands, while every little sway of motion loosens yesterday's worries into harmless dust behind me. Cities drift past in fragments, balconies, street vendors, laundry flying like flags of ordinary magic, each brief glimpse a secret that never needs explaining today. I lean back, breathing slow, hearing muted chatter, crossing rhythms of tracks and voices, turning into a quiet rhythm section beneath my wandering thoughts inside. Somewhere a child laughs brightly, somewhere a suitcase clicks, someone sketches clouds on a napkin, and everything joins this kind unhurried parade of small stories. If you were here beside me, your shoulder would fit perfectly, just touching mine, sharing the same shifting horizon, saying nothing, needing nothing, prove today. Clouds rearrange themselves slowly, rehearsing different endings to the afternoon, while the ocean keeps pretending indifference. Those silver sparkles give its secret happiness away. Today I watch telephone poles bow politely, appearing, disappearing, like mindful ushers between scenes, reminding me every border is temporary, every passing frame another gentle beginning. writing softer processes across the coast, while my loosened heart quietly sings along inside.
Glide along the highway, windows glowing amber, while drizzle stitches shiny threads between the billboards, soft embroidery across the deepening blue above us. Headlights bloom like tiny moons, drifting past in rhythmic clusters, each brief flare arriving, leaving like unspoken confessions no one here remembers, long afterward anyway, beside me. An empty seat holds the shape of conversations we have not started yet, saving space for future laughter, patient and uncomplicated between us. Rain traces down the glass in slender measures, syncopated rivulets keeping time with passing overpasses, soft percussion behind the low murmur of distant engines tonight. Billboard models smile bravely through the drizzle, selling futures, but inside this moving room, people cradle paper cups, half-read novels, blinking messages, drifting between decisions. The road hums a bass line underneath, blowing steady while wipers play guitar chords across the windshield, brushing tension off the driver's shoulders. Tonight again I watch apartments glide by, windows flickering with dinners, arguments, small celebrations, each square a temporary stage where someone's ordinary miracle quietly continues without witnesses. Their name sleeps in my pocket, glowing softly on the screen, unread yet, like a reserved seat at the end of this highway for me. When I press send, words will travel faster than this bus, sleeping across rooftops, river bridges, quiet parks to land gently in your open evening. Until then I lean into the window's coolness, counting reflections, letting repetition grow, soothing the way bossa rhythms turn worry into soft shoulder movement, slowly. Somewhere ahead the city waits with complicated choices, but right now everything narrows to yellow lines, humming tires, brief silhouettes crossing illuminated crosswalks before me. By the time we reach the terminal, night will be complete, and my loosened thoughts will arrive first, stepping lightly through the open door inside. slides through diluted gold light, wings tilting slightly like a hand adjusting blinds between daydream and evening for me. Clouds stack beneath us, soft continents of steam drifting slowly, while rivers become silver scratches and roads shrink into faint pencil lines across the earth. Cabin lights glow like modest lanterns, revealing novels, headphones, folded blankets, plastic cups, all the tiny rituals of people postponed between departure and arrival tonight. The seatbelt sign becomes a small star above us, flickering rules in gentle orange while turbulence taps its fingers, teasing rhythm under the metal skin. I trace imaginary routes on the tray table, invisible maps circling places where maybe we once promised to meet someday when schedules loosened for us. Outside sunset spills tangerine over the wingtip, dissolving into plum and ink, while engines hold a low steady note like a patient upright bass beneath. The stranger beside me sleeps, mouth slightly open, headphones crooked, trusting gravity, mathematics, rivets and unseen pilots to cradle everybody through the thinning atmosphere tonight. I will not solve anything here, only loosen knots, one exhale at a time, letting unanswered emails drift down with the darkening land below gently. Your last message rests in my pocket, breathing quietly, every unread word a tiny runway light, guiding my nerves towards some softer landing later, somewhere above the cloud line. Worries forget their edges, becoming smudges of color, while this aluminum room floats, its heartbeat measured in recycled air and ice clinking. Somewhere far below, trains chase each other, buses shrug through traffic, but here time unhooks slightly, offering one suspended chorus of unhurried breathing for me. When wheels finally greet the runway, applause may or may not happen, yet my quietly rearranged thoughts will already be stepping into the aisle, lighter. Lighter.
The ferry yawns away from the pier, trading ropes for ripples, leaving conversations shrinking on shore, while gulls argue rhythmically above the foaming wake behind us. Sunlight slides across plastic seats and chipped railings, making everything briefly cinematic, from the snack bar refrigerator to the quiet couple sharing earbuds today again. Riverbanks drift past like lazy subtitles, warehouses, cranes, parks, a stray dog chasing its shadow. Every scene important to someone, anonymous to the drifting deck. The engine offers steady commentary, a gravelly baritone beneath conversations, while waves slap time signatures against the hull, rehearsing the same forgiving chorus. You lean on the rail, counting passing buoys, letting the wind rewrite your hair, eyes half closed like finding tempo, by listening to another room inside. We do not discuss destinations yet, only trade stray details, favorite fruits, half-remembered songs, the way childhood summers felt endless, warm and slightly overexposed always. The city softens behind us, skyscrapers shrinking into careful handwriting on the horizon, while closer water keeps improvising silver shapes nobody will ever archive anywhere. Some passengers photograph every buoy, every bridge, already editing their memories, but we let the distance unfold uncaptioned, trusting it to settle where necessary gently. Guitar-shaped clouds idle overhead, thin and reverb-drenched, while the sun leans lower, sliding its solo quietly across warehouse roofs and patient barges on the water. I tap a rhythm on the railing, simple syncopation echoing back, feeling decisions loosen like mooring lines, dropping one by one into forgiving currents below. Somewhere ahead, another shoreline prepares its own noise, bus brakes, market shouts, elevator chimes, but this middle distance holds a rare, narrow silence for us. When we finally dock, footsteps will quicken naturally, yet some calm residue will cling like salt on skin, a quiet souvenir of drifting with you. Da, 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 da.
Trains thread tunnels beneath the city, emerging sometimes into glitter, then diving again like careful swimmers, pacing themselves through neon currents without looking back.
conductor's announcement crackles politely, vowels jangling through old speakers then dissolving, leaving only the soft bilingual drone of doors opening, closing, opening again, again. Above-ground stations flash by like brief thoughts, staircases, vending machines, hurried bouquets, each platform a tiny universe with its own moonlit problems, waiting for someone. I let my worries step off early at some forgotten stop, waving them goodbye silently while the doors close, carrying me onward. Lighter than before, you ask about nothing important, favorite snacks, old cartoons, the best season for walking, and suddenly the night feels small enough to manage with you. Somewhere behind us, offices dark and inboxes sleep, but our moving window keeps collecting fragments, taxi roofs, rooftop gardens, blinking towers, threading them into one ribbon. Bass from a stranger's headphones leaks softly, mingling with the track's metallic shiver, turning this late commute into a private, almost Riverside soundtrack for us tonight. We promise, without saying it, to remember nothing perfectly, only this shared blur of motion, warm shoulders, fluorescent halos, the comfort of parallel gaze tonight. Passengers rustle, expectators awake, and somewhere inside the rhythm continues long after we climb upstairs together.
Countryside bus rattles kindly, a patched up rhythm section, rolling between rice fields, telephone wires, bouncing like guitar strings along bright hills under soft clouds. Windows slide open, letting warm air wander through, carrying dusty sunlight, hints of diesel, and sudden whiffs of wildflowers from the roadside into our laughter. Old pop songs crackle from the driver's speakers, tape stretched thin, but the melody still remembers how to lean into every chorus on this road. You press your forehead to the glass, watching scarecrows bow politely, plastic streamers fluttering from their sleeves like improvised dance partners in borrowed wind today. Villages arrive, vanish each with one convenience store, one sleepy dog, laundry stretching bravely between houses like flags of suspended afternoons above quiet streets today. No one seems in a hurry, even time walks slower here, pausing to examine dragonflies, to sip barley tea from cracked vending machines between stops. We trade stories without chronology, skipping backwards and sideways, like this bus looping through villages, turning every shortcut into an extra scenic measure for us. Guitars would sound perfect here, soft nylon strings sketching the rolling fields, while brushes whisper over drums like wind through stubborn grass outside the window. Bumps over potholes, shaking loose leftover frustration, and suddenly every grazing cow seems part of some very slow parade through holds today. We do not photograph anything, trusting memory to keep the soft wrong notes. The lopsided houses, the broken fence, painted impossible turquoise in our minds. At some small terminal we will finally step off, feet tingling from stillness, ears still humming with engine bossa, and passing grass in warm air. Later back in crowded streets we will carry this gentle rhythm hidden under appointments, ready to surface whenever windows frame another moving landscape for us.
The small car coasts beside the river, engine purring quietly, as afternoon stretches out like a cat across the dashboard, warm, content, half asleep with us. Traffic thins into relaxed clusters, and distant horns sound almost polite. Later soft over radio, Jeff brushes ticking at an easy tempo through open windows. You steer with one hand, the other drifting between gear shift and paper cup, tasting melted ice, watching sunlight drip along the rim in slow time. On the passenger side I control the playlist, skipping anything too dramatic, choosing gentle chords that lean back like seats, in reclining mode today again. Bridges rise, fall, pattern shadows stroking our faces, while cyclists flicker by tiny metronomes in bright jerseys, measuring distance in steady rotations beside the river. We pass slow freight ships, cranes resting like giant herons, stacks of containers painted impossible pastels, forming accidental artworks against the drifting sky above us. Conversation flows similarly, unhurried curves, pauses for lane changes, quiet detours into childhood, then returning without signaling to the present sunlit shoulder beside your smile. Billboards attempt sincerity, promising miracles in big letters, but the river keeps ignoring them. Polishing stones slowly, memorizing clouds in its moving mirror all afternoon. I catch your reflection in the side window, layered over water, and wonder how many parallel versions of us are quietly cruising somewhere right now. The sun begins its gradual exit, light turning honey thicker, spilling sideways across the road, making even gas stations look temporarily glamorous through the windshield. We slow near a rest stop, not yet ready to stop completely, just to stretch, refill, let the sky advance another measure overhead before us. Later, when city noise gathers again, this easy riverside tempo will linger quietly between our sentences, steering thoughts toward broader The airport lounge glows in patient beige, soft chairs and endless announcements, while floor-to-ceiling windows frame slow choreography of taxiing planes against the fading sky. Suitcases murmur along polished tiles, tiny wheels sketching routes between charging stations, pastry counters, boarding gates, a quiet migration of person of histories under soft lighting. You cradle a paper cup of lukewarm coffee, letting time dissolve sugar slowly, stirring without urgency, watching steam fade before it properly introduces itself today. Overhead, departure boards shuffle letter tiles, rearranging cities like playlists, while somewhere your destination waits casually, checking the clock, not worried about your late arrival. Jazz seeps from a ceiling speaker, brushed drums and nylon strings, barely louder than whispers, turning boards scrolling into a kind of graceful idling here. We talk about nothing heavy, comparing favorite airplane snacks, wondering where other passengers are returning from, inventing backstories for hurried silhouettes beyond the glass tonight. Every few minutes a new boarding call rises, polite and repetitive, like verse over a familiar progression, and clusters of travelers dissolve, reform elsewhere gently. We linger, our gait delayed, but the waiting feels almost generous, an extra chorus between verses, space where thoughts can improvise alternative endings for today. Outside, a plane lifts slowly, enormous yet graceful, nose tilting toward violet clouds, and people barely look up, accustomed to miracles rehearsed daily around them. Your passport rests on the table, edges worn from previous adventures, a compact anthology of checkpoints, stamps, and favorable customs officers, smiling in memory now. When our row is finally called, we will rise like everyone else, yet carry this gentle interval folded neatly in our conversation for the flight later at cruising altitude. Tonight's calm prelude will replay quietly beneath engine noise, a soft, syncopated reminder that even waiting can feel luminous with you.
Tram sighs along its rails, wooden floorboards creaking softly, windows sliding open to swallow late afternoon air, warm, dusty, full of possibility today. Cables above us sketch taut lines against pale sky, a minimalist staff where birds occasionally improvise, flapping quarter notes between intersections over narrow streets below. You balance grocery bags on your knees, oranges rolling gently with each turn, releasing small sunbursts of scent that mingle with perfume. Engine oil nearby, outside balconies float past, draped with laundry, tiny flags of domestic bravery, waving above cafes, barber shops, corner florists humming with color into the open afternoon. The driver rings a worn brass bell, a gentle percussion punctuating conversation. Stroller cyclists, the practice choreography of pedestrians parting before us at each corner. We talk about someday apartments, imaginary plants on windowsills, which street might host the best evening light, mapping hopes onto unfamiliar addresses during this slow ride. The tram bends around the hill, revealing water suddenly, a glittering surprise between rooftops, as if someone opened a secret door in the skyline today. Guitar chords would fit this corner, gentle syncopation matching rattling windows, while a soft bass walks beneath, echoing the tram's steady determination along curved street. Passengers come, go, carrying office fatigue, art school portfolios, plastic bags of vegetables, all briefly sharing this narrow wooden stage before dissolving outside once more. We practice contentment, focusing on small details, the pattern in the seat fabric, handwritten signs, the way afternoon light leans through scratched glass toward us. Soon our stop will appear familiar yet never identical, because our thoughts keep changing quietly between cobblestones and overhead wires during this unremarkable, beautiful transit. When we step down pavement, we'll feel slightly musical, echoing faint vibrations while the tram continues forward, carrying someone else's gentle afternoon into the distance. Sidewalks guide tired feet homeward, street lamps bending halos over puddles, while the night exhales slower, like a city removing heavy jewelry after a long performance. Cars whisper past in moderated tempo, no longer frantic, their reflections smearing across shop windows that mostly belong to sleeping mannequins, posed beneath his discounted dreams. You zip your jacket higher, trapping leftover rhythms from the day, elevator dings, crosswalk beeps, cafe clatter now softened in the background, brushes inside your chest. The route feels familiar, yet each evening edits it slightly, adding new graffiti, rearranged recycling bins, a freshly lit balcony garden glowing over narrow alleys. You slow near the place playground watching empty swings. Remember earlier laughter, chains clicking, occasional notes into the cooling air, measured, hesitant, almost like conversation tonight. Some windows blaze with late television, others with kitchen brightness, people stirring pots, folding laundry, practicing saxophone, scales, lives continuing off stage. Beyond your quiet passing, you pass a bus stop where mornings often begin. Now occupied by silence, a crumpled flyer, one lonely bench cooled by metal under fading advertisements. Your reflection joins you occasionally in darkened glass. Walking almost in sync, a quieter twin, carrying in spoken edits to today's script through familiar turning corners. Guitar chords from a distant apartment window tumble down, slightly out of tune, but sincere, decorating the sidewalk with bar romance for whoever passes underneath. You inhale cool air, tasting rain from earlier exhaust, fried snacks, an oddly comforting blend that belongs specifically to returning late after crowded train rides. Keys jingle politely in your pocket, little percussion announcing the upcoming coda, while upstairs neighbors water plants, set alarms, close balcony doors against the dark. Inside your doorway, shoes come off, shoulders drop, and the city's fading rhythm keeps playing softly somewhere outside, like distant drums beneath a lullaby tonight.